take your time to start, okay? You can start anytime you're ready, all right? The rest of the people who are not presenting, you may just want to step aside when he starts, okay? Yeah? Thank you.
Anytime you're ready. Good afternoon, everyone. Today we'll be going through the topic of conflict management. I'm Zhao Hui, and these are my groupmates Jian Han, Terence, Jingwei, and Ming Yang. So, firstly, I'll go through the briefing of the conflict management modes, followed by a case study for your to inform you how the modes are being applied with. So, firstly, I believe everyone here in their life have went through conflict before, right? Who here have not went through conflict before? Please raise your hand. Okay, so what is conflict? Conflict is a struggle or contest between people due to opposing goals, beliefs, ideas, needs, and values. So, due to different upbringing and lifestyle, conflict is therefore inevitable. So, with conflict, we want to resolve it. So, therefore, we need conflict management. Why we need conflict management is because conflict will fester if it's being ignored, and then through conflict management, we understand the view of the other party, and through that, we can also find alternative solutions to problems, and most importantly, it makes your life more peaceful and stress-free, and I believe that's what everyone wants in their lives. So, there are 5 modes of conflict management based on the level of assertiveness and cooperativeness. So, the 5 modes are accommodating, avoiding, collaborating, compromising, and competing. So, first, I'll go through what is competing. Competing is a very assertive and uncooperative method where I would want to win the conflict through any means possible. So one very good example of competing is that my boss wants me to submit a proposal by the end of the day to him, if not he will fire me. So where is the right time to use competing as a conflict management method? It's when an immediate decisive action is required, there's no relationship of value, and the issue is more important than the relationship. So the disadvantages of using competing is that it strains and damages relationships. One side will lose the conflict and it creates a negative working environment. So next comes compromising. Compromising is half assertive and half cooperative, where the main aim is to find a solution that can satisfy both parties partially. So when to practice compromising is that a temporary solution is required and parties wish to save time and energy, and the value of relationship is more important than the outcome. The disadvantage is that the underlying issue is not resolved, it might occur again, and both parties might not be satisfied. One good example of compromising is that Jingwei loans $10 from me and I want him to return me, but then he can only return me partially, like $5, and I say yes. So next comes avoiding. Avoiding is not assertive and not cooperative, and the people avoid the issue altogether. So one example is that my roommate asked me to vacuum the floor, but I totally ignore his request and he does it himself in the end. So when is the right time to use avoiding? Avoiding is used when there is no chance of a positive outcome, or one or more parties need to cool down before making a decision. The disadvantage of using avoiding is that it might demonstrate a lack of caring attitude, and the issue remains unresolved, and it strains and damages relationship. Next comes accommodating. Accommodating is unassertive, but cooperative, where I give up all of my needs and then I satisfy the other party's needs only. One very good example is that I argue with my girlfriend and then I want to end the argument as soon as possible, therefore I accept all of her requests and demands. So when is the right time to use accommodating is when you want to end the argument as soon as possible, like the example above, and there is a desire for harmony in the relationship. One disadvantage of using accommodating is that it requires self-sacrifice. And through self-sacrificing, you might feel frustration towards the other party, and similar, the issue might remain unresolved. Lastly is collaborating. Collaborating is where the 2 parties work together hand in hand to find the best solution for everyone, which is a win-win situation. It is used when you have to address the underlying issue, and the relationship is important, and most importantly is both parties' conditions are too important to compromise. The disadvantage is that it requires more time and energy, and both parties have to be committed, if not, it cannot work. Next, I'll pass to Darren to talk about our case study, which is the dispute between China bus drivers and SMRT. Thank you, Toby.
Now I'll talk about the timeline of our case study. Previously, factors leading to a strike were the poor living conditions, low wages, and social discrimination felt by the bus drivers. And also the petitions submitted to the Ministry of Manpower were ignored. Okay, on the first day of strike, 171 bus drivers called in sick and did not want to work. So the SMRT officials visited the Woodlands dormitory and held a meeting and promised the bus drivers a raise of $25 per month. On the second day of strike, the China bus drivers still felt that they were treated unfairly and continued with the strike. But then SMRT did not want to negotiate any further and lodged a complaint against the bus drivers. On the last day of strike, the ringleaders were arrested, and SMRT finally decided to address the issues, and some drivers that participated in the strike were also deported. So now I'll talk about the government's perspective on this case study, mainly focusing on how did the government manage the conflict and also what could have been done better. So the government acted as a mediator and used the following modes of conflict management: avoiding before and during the strike, and collaborating after the strike. So before the strike, 10 unhappy bus drivers submitted their petition to the Ministry of Manpower due to reasons such as poor lodging conditions and low wages. However, the Ministry of Manpower shifted their responsibility to the SMRT, and SMRT then went to intervene the dispute of the bus drivers and the SMRT. This shows that the Ministry of Manpower, the government used avoiding as a mode of conflict management, as they could have ensured that all the issues were resolved. Okay, and next example is during the strike, where the SMRT held a meeting with the bus drivers, and the Ministry of Manpower officials were at the scene. They only reminded the bus drivers that protesting is illegal. And this shows that the government used avoiding as a mode of conflict management because they could have listened to the bus drivers' queries and suggest some solid plans instead. And after the strike, where the government used collaborating as a mode of conflict management, where the Ministry of Manpower and SMRT collaborated to improve on official channels where bus drivers can voice out their grievances. And also, ever since the event, the government stepped up protection for vulnerable workers and also encouraged other companies to improve on handling their employees' grievances. So now I pass to Minya to talk about the bus drivers.
Okay, thank you, Lawrence. So here I'm going to talk about the analysis of the case study from the bus driver's perspective of view, which mainly consists of the problem they face and the mode of conflict management they apply. Okay, the main problem they face are poor living conditions, low wages, and unfair treatment, like my teammate have mentioned previously. They feel that they're being discriminated by the SMRT, therefore lead to the strike. Okay, firstly, poor living conditions. The hygiene condition for their logging was terrible, and even bed bugs can be found inside that room. That caused some health problems. And besides that, the room was overcrowded. There are 8 to 10 people squeezed in a single room, which only mean for 3. And lastly, is the roommates in different shifts will be housed together, so the rest time of some are disturbed by the movement of others. Next factor is low wages. A China driver has a basic pay about 1,000 per month, and they have the smallest increment rate, about $75 compared to their Malaysian counterparts who have 150. And they also have no annual bonuses, about 1,000 per year. And lastly, they have lesser overtime chance compared to others. Some background information, they accept this low wage job is because they are told that they can do OT to make up their income. But in reality, this didn't happen. And besides that, in order to work in Singapore, they need to pay a huge amount of money to the agency. And these low wages they get are not even enough to break even with what they have paid. That's why they are in debt. And lastly is the unfair treatment. Firstly, no freedom. Their passports are being confiscated by the SMRT company when they first reach Singapore. And they have no say in their contract. Their working hour has been extended from the 5 days to 6 days per week without any period notice. And I feel that the most unfair treatment is that their job is entirely depends on the whim of their employer, who is SMRT, who can cancel their employment visa anytime, anywhere. Okay, now I will go into the conflict management. I believe that Zhao Hui has explained the mode of conflict management very clearly. So here I want to ask a question. During the strike, what is the mode of conflict management applied by the China driver? Very good, very good. Thank you very much. Yes, the answer is competing. But besides competing, is compromising. Competing is defined as an individual try to instill pressure to the other party to achieve what they desire. And in this case, I will give you an example. For example, the bus driver who are party A and try to force SMRT who are party B to increase their wages and provide better logging conditions. And this is competing. And next is compromising. Compromising defined as to come up a quick resolution that the outcome was acceptable for the both parties. And in this case, after the strike, the SMRT offered a $25 money increment, hope to stop the strike. And the bus driver also compromised and settled with this $25. By doing so, is to ensure the outcome was acceptable for the both parties. That's why it's compromising. But however, in the end, the China driver felt that the $25 increment is too low and not able to achieve what they desire. That's why the strike continued to the next day. So now I'll pass to Jian Han to share about the view from the SMRT. Yeah, please.
Okay, thank you, Ming-Yang. So now I shall move on to the SMRT company. So I'll talk on the SMRT's perspective view of the conflict with the mainland China bus drivers, as in the most of conflict management that SMRT employed to resolve this conflict, as well as the actions that SMRT took to approach the underlying issues. So the most of conflict management that SMRT employed were mainly these three: avoiding, accommodating, and lastly, competing. So to better understanding of the avoiding approach, we have to look at two different scenarios. So before the strike, there are already issues and complaints by the drivers on conditions, issues such as lodging conditions and work pay inequalities. So the driver on the left is Mr. Wu. He mentioned the issue of poor lodging condition to one of the human resource supervisor at SMRT and hoped that the issue will be resolved by his supervisor. Then the driver on the right is Mr. Liu. He is one of the bus drivers that voiced out the concern of work pay inequalities between the Malaysian and the China bus drivers. But what SMRT did is SMRT chose to avoid. SMRT decided to ignore and neglect the drivers' complaints about these issues. And as a result, for Mr. Wu, his statement got rebuffed on the lodging conditions, and an even harsher treatment was implemented, such as he was summoned to the SMRT headquarters the next day, and he was permanently dismissed. As for Mr. Liu, SMRT decided to ignore the Chinese drivers' complaint about the work pay differences. But that's initially. Then, moving on to the accommodating approach. Okay, on the issue of work pay differences, I mentioned that SMRT's initial approach is to avoid this issue. But eventually, as mentioned by Terence, the China bus drivers penned a petition and hand-delivered it to the Ministry of Manpower. And they decided to demand for better conditions, such as a wage increase, and for SMRT to return the passports to them. So eventually, the Manpower Ministry held a meeting with SMRT management, and what the SMRT did afterwards, they decided to accommodate with the China bus drivers. They decided that coming to this point, it would be best for them to satisfy some of the demands by the bus drivers, so to prevent this conflict from continuing and to maintain peace and harmony with the China bus drivers. So eventually, SMRT decided to return the passports to the China bus drivers, as you can see here, and at the same time, they decided to improve the drivers' bonus packages. But sadly, eventually came the strike by the China bus drivers on November 26, 2012. Despite this, during the first day of the strike, SMRT actions were still accommodating because they still wanted to maintain peace and harmony with the bus drivers and resolve issues through peaceful means. So eventually, SMRT held a meeting with the bus drivers on the first day, and they decided to increase their monthly salary by $25. Oh, sorry. They also assured the drivers that any further concerns could be communicated through the internal channels. The most important thing is that no police action was taken by SMRT on the first day, even though this type of wildcat strike is considered illegal and unlawful. Last but not least is competing. So on the first day of strike, the issue was thought to be resolved between the bus drivers and the SMRT. However, the strike still continued the second day because apparently the drivers still wanted to demand for better conditions. So as a result, SMRT thought that the drivers had gone too far. This action could no longer be tolerated, and they wanted to put things in the right perspective. So hence, they decided to call for police action to deal with this group of bus drivers. So as you can see here, this is the result. Yeah, a total of 30 bus drivers are called for questioning, 5 arrested, 34 deported back to China with 150 issued warnings. Yeah, so this is the list of 3 approaches used by SMRT. So next I shall pass it on to Jing Rui to let him talk about summary and conclusion. Jing Rui, please.
Okay, so thank you, Jian, for bringing us through the perspective view of SMRT. Next, I'll be concluding up this presentation. So firstly, I'll be going through the remediations done after the incident. Then next, I'll be summarizing up all the modes of conflict management used by individual parties. Then I'll conclude all up the presentation itself. So, after the incident, there's actually an adjustment in the pay of the China bus driver worker. As you can see from the table itself, the highlighted boxes shows that there's actually a $25 increment after the incidents have happened. Then next, the living conditions of the worker has also been improved. Because as you can see from the picture, SMRT officials actually went to visit the dormitory of the workers. And also at this point, SMRT actually hires pest control companies to go and remove the bed bugs, which is one of the main concerns that the workers is having. And also damages of the dorm has also been made, repair has also been made. Then lastly, these town hall sessions and 24-hour hotlines has been set up. This will open up another channel of communications between the workers and the management themselves. So next, I'll summarize up the summary of the mode of conflict management used by individual parties. So firstly, I'll start with SMRT. SMRT uses avoiding first, as mentioned by Jian Han earlier on. Avoiding because when partitions have been made and the logic complaint has been made, SMRT actually choose to avoid these problems. And also at this point, I would like to bring up MOM. MOM, which is representing the government, actually avoid this situation as well. When as mentioned by Darren, when the partitions were made to MOM actually shifts the responsibilities from them to the SMRT management themselves. But then I'll go into second mode of conflict management used by SMRT, which is accommodating. Accommodating because on the first day of the strike, SMRT did not go to the police but choose to accommodate to the actions of the workers themselves. The last mode of conflict management is competitive, used by SMRT. Competitive because on the second day, SMRT said not to tolerate this strike anymore and go straight to the police. So now we discuss about the modes of conflict management used by the China bus driver. They actually use competitive in the first place. Because as mentioned by Ming Yang, competitive because on the day when they decided to go to the strike, they actually use competitive as their mode of conflict management. And compromising because when they decide to take the $25 increment offered by the SMRT management themselves. However, if you think about it this way, if both SMRT and the workers have actually used collaborating in the first place, all these strikes would have been prevented, the damage would have been reduced because collaborating actually emphasized on working on identifying on single concern and coming up with a better solutions. So the strike would have been prevented, damage would have been reduced. So now, finally, let me summarize whatever we have done in this presentation today. So first, we know what is conflict. Conflict happens because different parties have different ideologies, different perspective view. And conflicts in the team is inevitable. However, conflicts damage, the damage of conflicts is not predetermined because if you choose to use the correct mode of conflict management at the correct time, correct place, and correct location, conflict might be reduced and might be prevented. So now, in the beginning of this presentation, Zhao Hui actually mentioned about the 5 modes of conflict management. Let me summarize them into some certain key points. Accommodating, obeying orders, forgetting your desire. Collaborating, active listening, identifying concern. Compromising, finding middle ground and negotiating. Avoiding, ability to withdraw limiting unresolved. And competitive, authoritative, or arguing and debating. So to end off this presentation itself, I would like to quote an American activist, human rights activist. She is Dorothy Thomas. She once said, "Peace is not the absence of conflict but the ability to cope with it." So we hope that you guys have actually bring home some useful information from this our presentation itself and able to cope with it, able to deal with it, able to use it to deal with your daily conflicts that you might face. So thank you for listening to our presentation.
Okay, would you all like to move to the front and then take questions?
First question. So in your opinion, right, which factor will be the win-win situation during the conflict management?
Collaborating will be the win-win situation for this when it's used. Because collaborating actually focuses when two parties come down together and they voice out their concern and they come out and work together to come up with a better solution. So this will be a win-win situation for both parties.
Do you think that it should be the SMRT responsibility to initiate the right approach to solve the conflict between both parties?
Yes. Actually, it should be the SMRT's responsibility in the first place to take care of their internal issues with the bus drivers. Because, for example, the work pay differences between the Malaysian and China bus drivers. So, have they sat down with the China bus drivers and talked things out, like negotiated the work pay conditions and terms of contract? Then these issues would have been prevented in the first place. So yeah, it is the SMRT response.
So you mentioned earlier that during the strike itself, SMRT changed their modes of conflict management. So in your opinion, what would be an acceptable period of time before you decide to switch to a different kind of mode? Because for SMRT's case, they only employed the accommodating mode, right, for just 1 day before they switched to a completely different and more offensive kind of approach. So yeah, my question is, when would be a good time, in your opinion, to switch to this?
For me, I think that the good time would be at least 3 to 5 days because they will need to sit down, analyze the situation, and come up with a better solution before going to the authorities to arrest the bus driver, because this will actually cause a lose-lose situation. It will be losing their business, and at the same time, the bus drivers will be feeling very sad and agitated because they didn't really do anything wrong in the first place. They just want to have a better welfare from the company itself. So actually, I think they should have a calm down period, like at least 3 to 5 days, maximum a week, before making any more decisions.
Yeah. So in the initial stages, right, the bus drivers, they were unfairly treated and their grievances were not addressed. So do you think that conducting the strike, which is actually the competing approach, was the right course of action? Because it was only after the strike that it highlighted their plight, like to the people, because before that they weren't listening to their grievances. Yeah, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer, but I'd like to know what your group's perspective on this is.
So actually for this case study, I would say previously before the strike, they did mention a problem to the MOM, to the SMRT, but they choose, like Kim mentioned, they choose use of avoiding to settle this problem. So then not until after they see the SMRT and government try to ignore this, so they got no other ways to solve the problem. As what I mentioned, actually they are in debt, so they are desperate for the agreement. They got no chance, they got no way other than strike to bring out this problem. Actually, they strike is because they want to bring awareness to the whole party, to try to help them to pressurize the SMRT and government to make a change. So this is now.
Why do you think, like, after the petitions and the complaint, right, like why the government choose to avoid rather than to face the problem? Like why do they want to use this type of conflict management?
Because mainly the bus drivers were under SMRT. They are the workers of the SMRT. Then maybe they want to let their employers settle the problems first and try to discuss with them. Then after that, then if really SMRT also cannot do anything, then maybe they will step in.
Out of four, do you think there's one that's always right? Like for example, collaborating.
Always, yeah.
I don't think out of the 5 mode of conflict management, there will be one that is always correct. It actually depends on the situation you are facing. For example, if I'm the boss of an employee, and I'm the boss of Zhao Li, and Zhao Li choose to ignore me, choose to avoid all the works that I'm throwing to him, then I have to use another mode. I have to use competitive to ask him to do his work. Because I am his boss, I have to make my stand, I have to be clear of where is my position. So there won't be a right or wrong mode of conflict management used. It depends on the situation you are facing.
In your opinion, right, what do you think the bus drivers are still unhappy with the SMRT despite the increment in the pay and the improvement in the living conditions? Do you think that is it because the SMRT are not offering enough help, or just because the bus drivers were too demanding?
see here,
Yes.
even though after the change, okay, we don't compare Singapore itself, we compare China and Malaysia, and the pay is still a difference, but their work is the same. So for the China bus drivers' point of view, even after the change, they are still in the handicap mode. Then they don't understand why there is a lesser pay compared to Malaysia. So that's why, if you ask me now, regarding the news and what we heard around, they are still unhappy with this job. But Singapore government has taken very seriously action about the strike. And some of the workers have been sent back, and some of and they are in the blacklist and not able to go to overseas to their work. So maybe they scared of this, so they bear it. But if not, they didn't make any noise about it. They answer the question. Any more questions?
Okay, if there are no more questions, then thank you very much, presenters. Thank you. Okay, can we have the next team, please?